Austin, I think investors sometimes convolute dividend growth versus high dividend paying securities, two unique investment strategies. How should they look at the differences and nuances between the two?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that a lot of people just think dividends are dividends, and in reality, there are investment options that may have dividend in the name, but may not provide much of a dividend today. But with the claim that yield on cost is going to be extremely high over the next 10, 15, 20 years, those tend to be dividend growth opportunities. They tend to be invested in stocks that are at higher valuations, have more growth, but they don't provide much in the way of a dividend today. So if you're looking for income, it's a bad place for you to be. If you're looking for long-term compounding of value, that it can be a pretty good place to be. The downfall of a dividend growth investment is the fact that you're buying in at a relatively high valuation, because most of those stocks tend to trade pretty richly relative to the market, just because there's been a lot published on the benefits of growing dividends. The high yield or high dividend space is a little different in the fact that it often holds a lot of value traps, or dividend traps, as we sometimes say. So these tend to be companies that are trading at a discount for a reason. So whether they have a lot of cyclicality, a lot of debt, or some other issue, the markets put them in the penalty box. They've been paying an attractive yield historically, and they continue paying an attractive dividend, which drives up the yield sometimes the hard way. To the extent you're doing a lot of fundamental research, this can be a great place to be looking for opportunities, as you can find companies that have been unjustly penalized. But you have to be aware that if you're not doing fundamental research, you could be buying dividend traps that end up getting cut in half as the companies are forced to cut their dividends. So we think there's actually a reasonable balance between the two for investors who are looking for yield today, but are looking to avoid some of these dividend traps. By looking for companies that pay attractive yields today and also grow those dividends over time. So essentially, as an investor, you receive a decent source of income today that's growing over time at an attractive valuation, which we think is kind of the best of both worlds between dividend growth and high dividend investment options.